right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Happy Monday to you, and welcome to another Monday Mindset. My name is Barry Overton. Excited to be here with you today. Some of you have been on the Monday Mindset in the past. Quite as of late, quite a few of my Monday Mindsets have been a PowerPoint. But today, I'm going to make a point with power without any type of presentation. And I think, my trusty colleague on this training is right here, a pencil. This is a powerful lesson that I learned listening to what I call a spiritual mentor. Someone that I don't personally know, but I follow online and through YouTube, and listening to a lot of his content, shared a story in regards to the pencil and how where the changes have to happen in a pencil for it to live in its purpose. And it so much coincides with how we as humans, we as people, have to do many of the same things to be able to live in our purpose. And he really kind of just talked about one area of this, but then it just grew into something much bigger for me in regards to this. And I found two other aspects of this that just make so much sense. And I think, it's important to take, when we talk about purpose, when we talk about living in our purpose, being in our purpose, that sounds, number one, it can be broad, but it also sounds like, we would have to really put thought into those things. But I wanted to take it down to its simplest form and use something as simple as a pencil to be able to explain what this looks like for each and every one of us. Because I think a lot of times we get caught up in the thinking of purpose, being a title that we hold, being a position that we may hold, being a level of status that we've reached. And that truly isn't. Purpose has always been that thing to me, that calling inside, that is gifted to each and every one of us to be something very different, but it's something that allows us to leave a mark on the world. We've always heard the term of, leaving the world better than how we found it. And I believe that that's a big part of purpose. So I don't look at, my career as a police officer, my time in the military, my time as a coffee distributor, where I was training a lot of other distributors, real estate, any of those things. Those are not my purpose. Those are just a vehicle to my purpose. And it's a vehicle that allows me to be in my purpose. And I can tell you, those that have been around me, that my purpose comes down to two things. It comes down to serving and impact. Those are the two words. And when I look back on my life, I didn't learn this until I was probably 45 years old. What my purpose was. But when I look back on my life and realize I served in the military, I served as a police officer, every business that I was successful with was serving other people. The businesses that were not successful was more of me looking at an opportunity to make money and not really putting service back to the community or to the world. And they failed. And so I realized that my purpose is tied to service. And the other part of that is the impact, meaning that I want to leave a mark, an influence on other people's spirit. It's not that I don't want to be famous. I don't want to have all the likes or anything. And I don't know if it's 1 million people or one, but I just want to have an influence on people that it changes their lives. Kobe Bryant had a quote that, someone asked him, what's your definition of greatness? And he said, greatness is your ability to be able to inspire the next person. And when you think about who inspired him, it took him to the level that he went to. If you look at people like Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, we look at them and hold them at this pinnacle point of achieving greatness, but I don't think greatness is something that you achieve. I believe it's something that's inside of you. And what they did is they revealed their greatness, but someone inspired them along the way. And we may not even know who that person's name is, but they had that type of impact on them. And that's where what I'm looking, that's where my purpose is, whether, like I said, whether it's billions or whether it's one person. I want to have that influence where I impact people. So that's why I do these Monday mindsets. This is something that Jesse Zagorski put together, and he asked me if I would like to participate. And I'm like, absolutely, because it puts me in my purpose. The very thing that I feel like I'm here, I'm on this planet for. So with that, let's talk about the pencil. And this is something, you can certainly put messages in the chat, take yourself off mute. Let's make it a little bit interactive. But we're all familiar with the pencil. We grew up with these. We became accustomed to these at a very early age. See, when we started elementary school, they didn't put a pen in our hand. And we're going to talk about the pen and the pencil, but the pen is more permanent. Once you make a mark with it, it's there. With the pencil, it has a tool on it, an eraser, that allows you to take away a mistake. And we're going to talk more about that here in a minute. But this was the first tool that we learned how to write with. And when you think about it and you think about it, when is the last time I had to go buy pencils because I didn't have a pencil in the house because I don't use pencils anymore. We have graduated to obviously laptops and pens and things of that nature. But this was the first one that was brought into our life. Now I want to bring your attention to that part of the pencil. See, this is a pencil brand new pencil has not, been put through a sharpener or anything yet. But so let me know, just join in with me, humor me with this. How many of you think I can write with this pencil in the current form that it's in? Anyone think that I can write? How many say that I cannot write?
I think it's harder to write in handwriting, regardless of a pencil or there's a ballpoint pen and there's different kinds of pens, is that my writing skills from when I was in high school, I can barely write like very good cursive writing now because I use the laptop all the time.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying, this pencil right here that I'm holding in my hand has not been sharpened. Can I write with?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So again, I cannot write with this pencil without it being sharpened first. So what I want you to understand is for the pencil, the thought that the pencil has is it's impossible to be in my purpose without losing a part of myself. Think about that for a second. It's impossible for this pencil to do what it was designed to do, to write, to help someone create ideas without it first being shaved down and losing a part of itself. So what does that look like? That looks like, again, it has to be sharpened. It has to go through a pencil sharpener. And I want you to, as I'm doing this, I want you to think about, in your own life, those moments, those times of being sharpened. There's Psalms 27:17 says, iron sharpens iron. And so another person sharpens a person sharpens another. And so it's the same thing that we experience in life, that we have to put ourselves around those that are going to sharpen us. And what does that look like? That looks like a mentor. That looks like a coach. That looks like people that we respect. I can tell you one of the things that I learned when I got out of law enforcement and got into real estate is that the businesses that I did, I put myself directly in the rooms of people that were highly successful in those businesses. So I had to sharpen my skill set. I had to sharpen, my thinking. I had to sharpen my behavior in regards to be able to be in the purpose that I was called to be in. So I want you to think about that from a standpoint of what you're currently doing. And right now, like I said, being in real estate is a vehicle to whatever your purpose is. Being in whatever industry that I know some people are not in real estate here, but being in whatever industry that you're in, it's it's a part, it's a vehicle for that purpose, but it's not the purpose. One of the things when I look back on my life, I think to myself, okay, military, law enforcement, business owner and many different businesses, and then into real estate. And the current form that I'm in right now is, again, a real estate agent, a leader, a coach, a mentor. And none of those are really part of the purpose. They're part of the purpose, and they're only leading to what's next. Whatever that next is, I'm not really sure, but it will reveal itself over the course of time. But it was just like, law enforcement prepared me for where I am right now. Being a business owner and working with multimillionaires and entrepreneurs in their space prepared me for where I am right now. When I said I'm going all in real estate, I'd been in real estate for 16 years, but I had never done it full time. And I wanted to align myself with some of the best in the business. And I did that, and it paid off. It made a difference in regards to, the success that I had. When I wrote my first book, it was the same thing. I put myself in the room with the right people. So again, understanding that, from that standpoint, you are going to have to lose a part of who you've been to become the person that you want and be in your purpose. So that's really the first area that I wanted to tap into of understanding that. And if you think if this pencil had nerve endings, if this pencil had feelings, and I put it through this sharpener, I mean, here we can see the work that was done right there. All right. And I put the pencil through the sharpener. There's a lot of pain that would have been coming out of that pencil in that moment. And that's one thing that we have to remind ourselves as well. Sometimes and many times to be in our purpose, it's going to be painful. There's that adage, no pain, no gain. That's kind of, when you're in the gym, but that's every part of life. We talk about growing pains, when a child is shooting up in height, and they have the growing pains in their joints. Well, guess what? When we're growing in life, there's going to be pains that we're going to experience. And we have to realize that that's just a part of the process. And it's in those moments of pain that we can start making decisions. We can start making decisions of, is this worth it? Uh, can I withstand the pain? And in my book, I talk about there's two types of pain in life. There's the pain of purpose, when you know you're in your calling and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and it gets painful, it gets challenging, it gets there becomes struggles through that process, and you have a decision that you have to make. Do I push through the pain? Or there's this other one that's called the pain of regret. The pain of regret, I can tell you, I experienced this in life where, my dream for 10 years growing up was to be a pro football player. I wanted to go to the pros. I had this big dream in regard to that. And then I went through my junior year in high school, a series of injuries and things that happened from a physical standpoint, that the physical pain was something that I did not want to deal with anymore. I didn't want to endure it, and I gave up on that dream. I stopped dreaming it, and I did something else. And I can tell you, I had 20 years of what if. What if I was stuck with it? And that was all in the form of regret. And I say God is a funny God because the funny thing is, over those 20 years, a lot of my friends, a lot of my associates, a lot of people that I knew were NFL players. Growing, being in Denver and the Denver Broncos, I knew a lot of Denver Broncos players, and being around them and hearing their war stories of games and different things of that nature, I would always sit there and say, man, what if I would have stuck with it? Where would I have ended up? And so in that lesson, I learned that if this is your calling, if this is your purpose, you cannot, give up on it, because that pain of regret, 20 years of a pain like that versus, maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe a year of going through other challenges, which one is going to be more painful? And so that's one of the things I want you to think about as you're thinking about your purpose. And we'll talk at the end a little bit just in regards to how do you find what that purpose is. But let's talk about the second aspect of this. Again, I mentioned to you, our iron sharpens iron. So this is one of those things that, to get to this point, you can't do it alone. It's going to take mentorship. It's going to take, other people around you. You're going to be influenced by those people that are around you. So are those people around you a positive influence or a negative influence? And I want you to think about, so we're now talking about strengthening the pencil. So a pencil by itself on its own accord and with its own thoughts and just trying to do everything on its own is easily breakable. All right. It can be broken, from that standpoint. But when you put mentorship, when you put coaching, when you put the confidence that's gained by having the right people around you, and you put, being able to keep, keep the right mindset through the process because of the people that are around you, and you continue to have the influence of other people that are around you, you are not easily breakable at that point. You cannot be broken because you have put in the work. You put in the work for yourself, but you've also surrounded yourself with the right people that are going to take you in the direction of that purpose, of that thing that you are trying to achieve in life. And that's why, again, showing up for Monday Mindset, showing up to the different trainings that we have through the Agent Collective and the Super Agents Collaborative, going outside, doing, listening to YouTube videos, reading the right books, all those aspects of growth. Remember, we talked about the growing pains. Again, it becomes less painful when you are digging in to find your own growth and becoming better on a daily basis. So iron sharpens iron. So it's important in regards to the people that you put yourself around, the people that are influencing you and pointing you in the direction in life that you're looking to go. So and having someone that holds you accountable as well. I think that's one of the biggest areas of growth is when we have an accountability partner, when we have someone that's holding our feet to the fire of what we said that we were going to do. So again, having those aspects in your life, iron sharpening iron is going to help you to take your life to the next level, take yourself closer to that purpose that you're looking for. And the last aspect I want to talk about, I mentioned it earlier, is the eraser. The eraser part of this particular pencil is that area that, again, you think about it, if you write with a pencil and you make a mistake, all you have to do is use the eraser to remove the mistake. It's like it never happened, and you can just take it off of the page. And I think that this is fine as we are learning in a certain area, but eventually it's just like we did as adults. We graduated to a pen. We graduated to something more permanent. We graduated to something that if we make a mistake, it's going to be revealed. Even if you try to, when you wrote something down and you're like, that's not the right word, or I messed up on the spelling. And instead of being able to erase it, we just black it out or, blue it out, whatever color the pen ink is, we cross through it. the mistake is still there. It can't be hidden. So it's a graduation that we have in essence, in from going from a pencil to a pen. What's the same thing in life? We cannot expect that we're going to continue through life to continue to use the pencil and not take responsibility, accountability for the mistakes. And see, here's the thing about it, mistakes has been, and failure. Those are two words that have been placed in our vocabulary to seem like they're negative. But I always tell people when a weightlifter goes to the gym and they're trying to grow, once again, we can continue to talk about growth. When they're trying to grow the muscle, when they're trying to get stronger, what do? They take their muscles to muscle failure. It's a term that they use. They want to take their muscles to a point of where they can't lift the bar anymore, let alone the weight. Because why is that? Because it's through that muscle failure and then feeding the muscles the right nutrients that the muscle starts to grow. It grows bigger, it grows stronger. So we have to think from that standpoint when we say the word failure in our business, when we say the word failure in our life or whatever, we're trying to accomplish, it's not a bad thing. It's an aspect of growth. It's a part of the process that we're going through. So being able to put yourself in that position of understanding with the pen, I get to see the mistake so I don't make that same mistake again. See, if I write a letter and I misspell a word, well, I already remember if I'm writing that word again somewhere in the letter, well, I remember, okay, well, up here, I made that mistake and I had to cross it out. Let me look. Oh, yeah, that's how you spell the word. Same thing in our business. When we do certain things that don't work, if we don't erase it and don't, put it from a standpoint of it never happened, we can remind ourselves, okay, I tried that before, it didn't work. Thomas Edison is said to have, 10,000 failures on the incandescent light bulb before he got it right. And, someone asked him about that and he said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways not to do it and eliminate it from the experiment. So he figured out through the process of the failure. So I want to leave you from that standpoint of understanding that failure is a part of the process and it's not a negative part of the process. It's a part that you should embrace as you go through it. And then lastly, those are the three areas that I wanted to tap on. But I want to also mention to you, from the aspect of we got a broken pencil here. But I remember as a kid, having pencils. Let me see if I can sharpen this. Having pencils where, I didn't have an extra pencil in my, pencil box or anything like that. So I'm having to use a pencil for a long period of time, until it got really, really small and kind of looked like this to a certain degree, that much of a pencil. Do you remember ever being there where, again, you're down to the bare minimum of what you have left of what you can use with the pencil? And what I want you to think about this from a standpoint, this is life. All right. It's short. All right. We don't have as much as we seem to think that we do. And man, it's crazy just when you're seeing the news and you're seeing celebrities and people close to you that are your age that are leaving this world at an early age. It's a reminder that we can't take this for granted. We can't take the lifespan that we have for granted. And we got to get into that purpose as quickly as possible. I can tell you, I mentioned earlier, I was 45 years old when I figured out and understood what my purpose was. And I can tell you, I had a conversation with God and I said, I'm a little bit late to the game. I just figured this out. But if you give me another 45 years, or if you give me another 50 years, I will spend the rest of it living in that purpose. And I always say that every morning that I wake up, that's God telling me, okay, you got another day. So I got to keep my end of the bargain and live in my purpose on that day and every day. So remember that for yourself as well. That the Buddha has a quote that says, our biggest mistake is that we think we have time. One of the athletes that made this quote famous, or the athlete that made this quote famous, was Kobe Bryant. And he got 41 years of life. But you know what? When you look back on his career, on his life, he lived the life of an 80, 90-year-old person because he lived by that quote, and he didn't let one day be wasted. And to think that you got a guy that was a five-time NBA champion, but he was also an Oscar-winning, writer. He wrote a short film that won an Oscar a year after he retired from the NBA. I thought that was an amazing feat when he was here. And then after his passing, I studied him and I learned so much about the legacy that he has left behind. So even though he got 41 years of life, he used every bit of it and lived in his purpose. And that's why he still has an impact on so many people today. So with that, that's again the area that I wanted to share with you. I am more than happy to have some conversation around this. If anyone wants to, just kind of open up and talk about your purpose or talking about finding your purpose, happy to take these last couple of minutes to be able to have some conversation around that. All right, Audra, I'm looking at your comment. You feel like the broken pencil right now. Um,
Hey, I do. I've been through a lot the last couple of years, and you know, I've always been really great at my job, and I'm just feeling a little broken right now. I'd like to know how to fix my broken pencil. I know, and I know I can't because I want to, and I do feel like I've surrounded myself with the right people for once. So that's what feels really great and important.
yeah. Let me ask you, that broken pencil aspect of it, is it solely tied to, and you don't have to tell me the other things, but is it solely tied to the business of real estate, or are there outside things as well?
Well, there's some outside things, but really just in the terms of real estate, I'm feeling pretty torn up right now.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing about it is that there's probably however many people on here, including myself, that could say the same thing. Because my business now, while it's still going and it's still good, it's not what it was in 2021.
Right.
Uh, and I would say, for me, this is probably going to be my slowest year, man, and probably, I don't know, since 2017 when I went full time. But I'm already ahead of what I did in 2017, but it just feels slower. And that has nothing to do with you, Audrey. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with us. It's the market that we're in. Now, how can we control that? A big part of that is we're having to make adjustments in
Right.
regards to what we do. But I want you to also, as I had said earlier, that being a real estate agent, doing real estate business, I guarantee you that's the vehicle for your purpose, but it's not your purpose. And it's really kind of finding what that piece is, that place where you find the most happiness. I can tell you the thing that gives me fulfillment is seeing other people inspired by a message that I deliver, or seeing other people apply a message that I deliver and have success with it. It pays me nothing. I just get paid in fulfillment with that. So one of the aspects I want you to think about, and you and I, we can definitely have some conversations just in regards to the market and some adjustments and things on that. But I think the bigger picture for you is finding that thing, that passion, that desire, that fuels you, that doesn't pay, monetarily. It pays you in fulfillment. And that is, so for me, that's why, like, going through the challenges that I'm going through in my real estate business right now, it doesn't faze me because of the fact that number one, I know that number one, this is just we're all in this bit of a slump, and we'll all get through it. It's just a matter of making the adjustments. But I also looked at it as, okay, this gives me more time to work in this other area of purpose, that I have. So that's why, it doesn't give me anything to faze me about. And I think, like I said, you and I can definitely have more conversation around that and just finding and identifying what that might be for you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Barry.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we are at 8:30. You can use a good sharpener. Hey, Allison, I'm here to sharpen. So, you're more than welcome to obviously come to the Monday Mindset. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm on the Agent Collective, the two different pages there. You're not a part of my organization, but you are a part of my organization. So
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And so I'm here to be able to, like I said, my whole thing is whether I impact 1 million or I impact one, I don't know who they are. Allison, if you're one of them, then I'm not going to turn you down. So let me know, if we should jump on a call or something, to be happy to help.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right. All right, folks. Well, you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and go out there, find that purpose, and be the sharpener for someone. You may be the sharpener for someone else. And then at the same time, I can tell you, I'm in both spaces. I'm sharpening and I'm being sharpened all the time. So look for those opportunities to be sharpened and be the sharpener for someone else. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a great
Monday.
All right. Take care.
Barry.
All right.
Thanks, Barry.
All right. Goodbye.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.